Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, I am Sylvia Hayes, and welcome to Good News at Primetime. Today, we're going to be talking about politics, just politics and history, okay? Both mostly Black history, okay? But we're going to be talking about politics and history because, there's a lot of history for Blacks in politics. A lot of people don't know that, but it is. So we're going to be talking about politics. And before we get started, we want to talk about good news. Okay? Good news is my book, Power Thoughts. Okay? I am doing a special right now from now until February the 28th on the ebook. You can get it for $3.99. Yes, $3.99. You could go to you could Google it, or you could go to tinyurl.com/Power Thought Books. That's tinyurl.com/Power Thoughts Book. Okay, you can get the book for $3.99 all month long. This is my Loving Me special. Okay, Loving Me special because this is the month, February. I love my heritage. I love me. I love everybody around here. I love my spouse. I just love, love, love. So I'm doing a Loving Me special. And this book has a lot of love in there. It helps you to love yourself and love other people as well. Okay? So now let's get down to the nitty gritty. In the past, well, I won't say in the past, well, recently, I had the opportunity to go to the governor's mansion and have lunch with the governor. It was okay. They talked, but afterwards I was talking to him, and as I was sitting there talking to this man, he looked at me with disgust on his face. Literally disgust. Of course, it could be his natural look, but he looked at me in disgust. I gave him a copy of my book, not for him to endorse it, but to enlighten him, right? Just to enlighten him. I did not ask him to endorse because I know they can't do that kind of stuff, but just to empower him, to uplift him, just sharing my work. And he took the book, didn't have anything else in his hand. He took the book and he walked away. The elevator is less than 25 feet from the room that we were in. He got on the elevator and threw my book on the floor. One of the other people who were in the luncheon found the book and told me about it. They found the book on the floor. And it really ticked me off. It really did, because he could have easily said, I don't want the book, I'm not going to read it, or something like that, because I understand some people have so much to do, they don't have time to read. And there are some people who don't read at all. They don't like reading at all. And I can understand that. Just tell me you don't want the book, but don't take my book and throw it on the floor. No, just refuse it. Don't give me no book. I don't want it. And it just reminded me of, to me, how prejudiced he is. Okay, because it also, to be honest, it confirmed my ill feelings with him, because I didn't like the way he was doing when he was campaigning. He had a gun, and he would use that gun in his campaign, using his gun to ward off any suitors for his daughter. And for me, if you would have pointed a gun at my son because you didn't want him to come to see your daughter, I'd be all over you like white on rice, to be honest. That's the way I would be. You're not going to point a gun at my child just because you don't want him there. Just tell him to leave. Tell your daughter don't have any boys here or something. So that was an ill feeling for him to have guns and want to use it on somebody else's child. And then too, my other ill feeling was the way he did the election. No, he was Secretary of State before he became governor. And as Secretary of State, he had all the power to do what he wanted to do. He had all the power to do the election. I mean, to open the polls, voting polls, to close them, shall I say. He closed voting polls, he moved voting polls, he took people off the register and everything. So that wasn't a good thing, you know, and he made sure that he passed away for him to get elected. But that's my thought for the week, you know. And I'm gonna bring on my co-host, Mr. Reggie Drama. Reggie, how are you doing right now?
How you doing there, Miss Sylvia? And I saw the question. Is that Georgia's Governor Kemp that did that to you?
Yes, it is.
Whoa. I mean, wow. You think he just dropped it by mistake? He could have had too much in his hands?
He didn't have anything in his hand. I could see if he had a lot of stuff in his hand. He did not have anything in his hands when I gave him that book.
You think he dropped it or threw it down?
I have no idea. It was on the floor. That's all I can say.
Hmm.
It was on the floor in the elevator.
Did you autograph it?
Nope, I did not.
Wow.
I,
Well,
I didn't.
that's politics, I guess. Wow, you know, that's a biggie. But you would hope. I've never had that happen. Well, you know what? I've had a politician drop a business card that I had. Gave him a business card with some people's name on it, and he dropped it. And I was like, man, this guy don't want my business card. But I just took it to think that maybe he had a lot in his hands. I can tell that you got some. It's a little distance between how you look at Kim. Maybe if somebody else has dropped it, you wouldn't have felt as bad. But by him dropping it, ooh. But you know what? Now, here in Georgia, since we talk about politics, and I always like to think and talk a little bit about politics because we got a lot of elections coming up. And sometimes it's important that we understand why and how a lot of this stuff came about. Because when you start putting the dates in, a lot of things start not to make sense. If you look at the history of America, and I was just recently on a platform, and we took in just a timeline of American history. And even when we just did 1776, that's when America became America. And then you got 1619. They say that's when the first slave ships came to America. And then you got 1492. That's when either Columbus or Christopher Adams, Americans, found what we call America. So there's a big timeline and a gap in the history because, when you look at black and brown people, they don't mention us that much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you look at America from 1776 to when the Civil War started in 1863, black folk, believe it or not, there were black people voting prior to the Civil War.
Yeah, and they were holding offices too.
Well, great. So we got to think about this. This is 1863. And they had black people that held an office. We always look at, what's the brother on the back of the $2 bill?
John Hanson.
John Hanson, right before 1776, they had what they call, I think it was they didn't call it the United States of America. It was something else. And that was when he was the president. After that, George Washington became the president. The first,
John Hanson was the first president before the Constitution. George Washington was the first president after the Constitution.
After the Constitution, 1776.
After the Constitution, because it was some more people came after John Hanson, but after the Constitution, then George Washington was the first president.
So look at those years. So you're looking at before 1776. That's a period that they ignored a black man that held the office.
Yep.
That's the first time. Now we fast forward after George Washington, there were blacks that held office in the northern states. This is before the Civil War. There were free black men, not a lot of them, but across the then America, you had about at least a couple. Okay. And then after the Civil War, 1863, they did what they call Reconstruction. And in Reconstruction, for a period of about 7 years, there were over, that's more than we got now. There were over 40 senators and people in the House of Representatives from Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina. There were over 40 people. That's more than they got now in the Senate, because I think now we got about maybe 8, less than 8 black senators. Mississippi had about 6 of them alone. Georgia had about 3 or 4. And then on the local elections, you had governors and you had mayors and state representatives. There was over 600 black people in power doing what they call Reconstruction. That's a forgotten time in America. Now, when you think about it, during that time period, look what happened. Because most people don't even think about Reconstruction. You ask people this, you say, what is Reconstruction? They don't have a clue. It's been written out of American history. When you had over almost 600 black people that were elected to office, not just in the South, but around the whole coast. And you had black men that could vote. That was based on the 13th and the 14th Amendment. Now you got to fast forward after what? Reconstruction, because during, I think, that was Andrew Jackson administration. That's when they put the black code out. And when they put the black code out, it removed black politicians. The Ku Klux Klan personally hanged over 40, nationwide, just politicians.
Oh, really?
They hanged them. Right? Yeah. That's when they started to ban Reconstruction. So when you think about politics, and we fast forward today, we say, well, remember the Voting Right Act came, 1965? Banning discrimination of voting for black and brown people. And then it's up for review again. So it's important as black people, we look and see that just because you was allowed to hold office and vote doesn't mean it's going to be everlasting.
So you're telling me that
look here. Blanche Bruce. Now he comes out of Mississippi. Blanche Bruce, a Republican, because black folk were Republicans at first, was elected to the Senate in 1874 by the Mississippi State Legislature. He served from 1875 to 1881. That's 6 years.
Yeah. And it was more black people that served before that. I'm not senators, but I'm not sure what the position was. I know they represented black people.
But this is another one out of your state. Hiram Revels. He became the first African-American senator in 1870. Yeah, and this is Mississippi.
Yeah. Did you know
down there?
Yeah, did you know Lena Horne's grandfather held an office too?
Okay.
In New York. Yeah, he was the first one, I think in 1863. He held the office. What was that office called? I forgot the name of it, but he represented the colored people in 1863. And he also served on the Board of Education. He had 3 terms four term. Anyway, it was 8 years. He served on the Board of Education for 8 years in New York. And during that time, he was the one who actually got the schools integrated in New York, because it was like 5 segregated schools, and he took 4 of them and sent those kids to schools that was non-integrated, non-segregated. So he was integrating the schools way back then. So like when they passed the laws later on saying the schools had to be integrated, New York was already there. You know, a lot of the schools, so they didn't have a lot to deal with, because Lena Horne's grandfather already did it way back in the 1800s. I forgot his name. I think it was Samuel. I forgot his name, but he was the one that did that. He was on that board of education, shall I say?
Yeah. I see down here. It would Brooke that was the first. They always say after Reconstruction. Now this brother was elected to the Senate position in 1967. Now, that's almost 100 years after Reconstruction. So it was, you had 40 House of Representatives and Senators in 1863. And it was almost 100 years later before another African American was walking to the halls of the Senate in DC. 100 years.
And then too, after so long, they didn't want those black folks to vote anymore. So they started making it hard for them to vote. A lot of them, they couldn't vote. They took their voting rights away from them. So, right. And then they have what you call the polling tax. You have to own land, in order to vote. So a lot of black people didn't own land. And then those who did own land, they made it hard for them to vote. So we've gone through a lot to get to where we are now, for them to try to take it back. Because now they reach,
quote unquote, America never took the voting rights from men, women, or black people. Okay?
They never took it?
No, because that's in the 14th and 13th Amendment. What happened, because they allowed organizations like the Ku Klux Klan and other militant organizations to infiltrate and control the actions and efforts of black folk, that caused voter intimidation. Black folk were voting, but they would tell them, hey, you're going to get kicked off the land. They would burn them out. They would kill, lynch, and just do anything to stop. That's part of voter suppression. They would one part of 1965, the voter right bill, what it did, it made it illegal to do those practices.
Yeah, but they still did it.
Yeah, well, it made it illegal. It made it become a federal crime to try to impede people from voting. That's what the Voting Rights Act really did. Now they're trying to, I think you got almost 40 states that's got some form of voter suppression going on the books, trying to overturn it. Whether it's dealing with redrawing the district, putting people in position where they intimidate voters. Down in South Georgia, when we were going through South Georgia, they were telling people that, hey, we closed the polls at 3 o'clock. And across the state of Georgia, polls had to stay open to 7. But
they doing that now. Right now, they trying to make it whereas you can only vote inside of a federal building, to vote. They're not having those drop boxes. They don't want the drop boxes out where you can vote. They're gonna put them on the inside of the building, and that's where you have to go to vote. And the building is open only 5 days a week. After 5 o'clock is closed. So what they're saying is, if you don't come and vote by 5 o'clock, you just miss your term, and that's wrong. That's voters depression right there. I gotta say depression. It is. And for them to say that they can't vote, and what really gets me for those people who's willing to stand in line, they don't want them to have any water.
All
Yeah,
right.
that to me, that's a I don't want to say that's a voter suppression or what it is,
Well,
but you got old people who's willing to vote, they want to vote, and they had to stand in these long lines. And so what they're going to do now? They took away a lot of the polling sites. A lot of people have been taken off the rolls, so they got to
right.
re-register. A lot
Well,
of people who went to vote, they were off the register, so they have to re-register again, and then they got
right.
to find a new site for them to go vote in. They still doing it, and right now they're redrawing the lines and taking people out of their districts. They drawing all these lines, so only they have
Oh,
Republicans to
oh, let me put this one
to,
in. This is another one.
yeah.
Jefferson Franklin Long. He was elected in 1871. And this was a black congressman from Georgia, 1871.
Okay.
And we just
Yeah.
got what's the brother we just got to be our Senate?
Raphael
Warnock.
Warnock.
Warnock, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
a foot runner for him, one of those foot soldiers. I was out there knocking on doors and everything, trying to get him in office, and he won. He won. I was one of his foot soldiers. I don't know why my tongue is getting all tied up. I was one of his foot soldiers to get him elected. As a matter of fact, I just went to a town meeting with Warlock last week. Yeah,
okay.
to hear what he have to say. So
that's
so
a good.
far, it seems like we got some good things going on.
Yeah, well, he's up for election again. I see we got a comment. That's a form of voter suppression. Yeah. There's so many things when we look at voting, and this is why it's critical now that we pay attention. All the hard work that our people have done for voting. As a matter of fact, coming up the first week in March, Selma, we call it the pilgrimage, the voters' right pilgrimage, Selma, Alabama. Now that kicked a lot off when it came down to voting here in the South. Okay. Now there are a lot of things that we have to do to avoid voter suppression, and it's critical. If nobody's going to tell you where to vote at, the voting location. Everything is based on you doing your own due diligence. If you don't pay attention and you just say, well, I don't vote. I've got people, we registered people. I encourage everybody to go to myvoterpage.com, and you can go to the Secretary of State app. You can do this in any state. You can go to the Secretary of State website and find out your voting status. Easy.
Yeah.
You find your voting status. Selma is this is the 57th anniversary. Matter of fact, we got I just thought about it. We got a bus trip going down from Zebulon Tours. So they'll be going down, because I think I missed Selma maybe the last 2 or 3 years, but we've been going to Selma for the last maybe 25 years. And we've seen a lot of changes down there, but we call that voters' rights, the pilgrimage. Just like people go to Hajj or go to Mecca, Black folk should go down, because that's the birthplace of modern day. We call that the second wave of voter empowerment. Okay, the first wave was Reconstruction. This was the second wave. Now we got a third wave that's got to come, because most of us will be gone. But 30, 40 years from now, if your grandkids, nephews are not paying attention, they'll be in the same position. They'll say, you know what? I didn't know we had a black president. I mean, it sounds way out there, but they can act like your history did not exist. If you don't look real hard, you won't even know any of those senators. In the state capitol, here in Georgia, you can't find the brothers that were senators and congressmen during Reconstruction. They removed that whole thing.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people who were in office. A lot of them, they're not recognized, and that's what everybody should take the time to learn the Black history and learn who was in politics and everything. And not only did they hold offices, but they might have, had a leadership in some organization or something like that, like NAACP, who help people to get registered to vote or checked into the discrimination and all of that, So we have other people who are involved in politics too, not just those who were in office or ran for office. I mean, look, pharmaceuticals are in politics. To be honest, because they be paying these people to say what they want to say so they can get their pills on the market so they can make a whole lot of money. It ain't nothing but politics.
Before they started doping America, they were doing things then. Now think about this. Now we won't be here, but 100 years from now, can you imagine Senator Warnock name not being listed as a senator?
Yeah. I mean,
you see what I'm saying? Yeah. No, that's the situation we are in. Our next generation, if they're not paying attention, because now we don't have anybody that would be one of my great grandparents that was around doing Reconstruction. The first time my granddaddy told me about a Black president, I thought he was crazy. I thought he was drunk. Can you imagine 100 years from now, if somebody told you, if you were around and you were able to come out of a time capsule, and then you say, there was a Black president back in 2008. And there's a period that's missing between 2008 and 2028. That's what happened during Reconstruction. You gotta look for Reconstruction on purpose.
Yeah, and the sad thing is they don't want us to know our history. And as I've been doing some research lately, and I was thinking, I'm going, dang, if they got rid of all the Black people and all the stuff that they had created, this country would be in shambles. It really would, because Black people have done so much. They have done so much for this country to improve things like refrigerators, pencil sharpeners, a lot of stuff. I just found out there was a Black person that did the helicopter. You know? I mean, Black people, we rock. I'll be honest, we rock. I am so proud to be in that culture, to see all the accomplishments that the Black people have made. I mean, even as far as blood, it was a Black person that made it where you can transfer one blood from one person to another. Yeah, the blood bank. Yeah. It's so much that we have done. The .com, Black people have involved in the computers and stuff. And if it wasn't for their job in the computers, we wouldn't be where we are. There was a Black woman who made it where you can talk on the telephone through your computer. That's the work of a Black woman, So we are so good in science and technology and medicine and inventions and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, and they want to hide our history. They don't want us to know all about these leaders that we've had. Just erase it. Just talk about everybody else, and don't talk about our history. We have something to be proud of. And, and no one should be ashamed of who they are. No one. We have so much.
Oh, yeah. And this is another one, Miss Sylvia. And I remember this. In 1972, Shirley Chisholm became the first African American to run for the Democratic Party nomination for president.
Yep.
Now,
I remember
and
her running, and I remember Jesse Jackson running.
yeah, but she
Yep.
ran, she pioneered, I mean, she kicked it off. And I remember one of her things she said, the only time she wished she was a man was during that time
Uh-huh.
period because they wouldn't give her the Democratic nomination because she was a woman. And there was
Because
a
she was
black
a woman.
man out of Texas that was supposed to, you know how they say, this is whatever for the great state of Texas, and I yield my time. He refused to yield his time to her. Yeah, that was one of the reasons she wasn't allowed on the floor.
Yeah.
And this was in 1972. Now, you know, since then, I think you had maybe one or two white women that kicked it in for either vice president or president. But can you imagine all these things, people being ignored? Either our history is ignored on purpose, by accident, or just plain ignorance.
Yeah, on purpose and ignorance. I had to add both of them, on purpose and ignorance. They were
I see somebody else out there. I don't know. They said Brother Emmett. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. This is Black History Month. Yes, it's a shame that not everyone knows Black history. And racism is still alive and well. We know that. It's just a struggle. I've been in a struggle my entire life. And I'm older than Reverend Sharpton, and he knows it because I grew up with Reverend Sharpton.
I've been where you from, brother?
The National Action Movement. Well, over 40 years.
Okay. Where you from? Where you calling
from? Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, Brooklyn. Well, I know you guys have seen, you know, whether you're in the South or you're in the North.
I'm in Florida right now.
You're in Florida?
What part? That cold weather. I left my mother and my sister up there.
Okay, what part of Florida you in?
I'm in Lehigh Acres, right next to Fort Myers, an hour away from Miami.
Okay, I was just down in Miami.
Good for you.
Yeah, beautiful.
Come on back and stay.
Cost of living, man.
67% racism. 67% racist. I just saw a man with a Trump sign all over his trunk.
Okay.
Over his truck. So I'm fighting this battle for you guys down here in Florida. We got to get rid of Marco Rubio.
Yeah, y'all got a serious governor and who's the mayor down there?
We don't have a mayor of Lehigh Acres. There is no mayor.
You guys, you guys in the suburbs of where somebody down there holding office. What's the black representation look like?
Terrible. I told you, 67% white down here.
Wow.
And most of the white people are racist.
Well, what made you go down there?
I've been coming down here since 1975.
Your family, you got family down there?
Yeah, my uncle, my aunt.
Okay. Wow. Well, you know, keep up the good work. You know, and part of the Action Network, Reverend Sharpton.
National Action Network.
National. Yeah, we quite familiar. National Action Network. We quite familiar with the work that they put in. So keep up the good work down there.
Well, I'm definitely going to do that. Right now, I'm pushing for Val Demings to take Marco Rubio's spot. She's a black woman, like Shirley Chisholm was. So we making history now.
Oh, okay.
You feel me? Now.
You say her name is, what's her name again?
Val, V-A-L, Demings, D-E-M-I-N-G-S.
Okay, I have to look her up. Yeah.
So is the election this year for him?
No, next year.
Next year? Oh, okay. So y'all still got another year to put up with that man, huh?
Early. Actually, you don't even vote for her till 2024.
Right. Okay.
but she's running now.
Oh yeah, you got to
okay.
get a head start. Yeah.
Yeah, because these Republicans are not playing.
Oh yeah.
The Republican Party is nothing but the racist party of the day. It used to be the Democrats in the old days. The Republican Party was the Liberation Party, but now it's switched up. Now all the races are in the Republican Party.
Okay. Well, we started out as black folk. I guess we call that the Party of Lincoln.
Right, exactly.
And then
But they
I
killed Lincoln.
Yeah, and I think in the 50s when they changed the flags and went back to the Confederate flags in all seven Confederate states, that's when they called themselves the Dixiecrats.
Right, the Dixiecrats.
Yeah,
Exactly right.
and
That was
the
the beginning of the switch.
yeah, the
They
switch.
did a complete reversal.
Oh yes.
When Nixon ran against John F. Kennedy, that was the complete reversal.
Yep.
And that's why they killed John F. Kennedy.
And then we became really when Roosevelt part of the New Deal, because what happened, and even though the New Deal didn't give black folk that came back from World War II a lot of the benefits that it gave the white soldier, but it gave them a little bit more than they had before, because black folk had really been suppressed under Woodrow Wilson from 1908 when they started burning, hanging. I think between 1905 and 1917, right before World War I, they hanged, killed, and murdered a bunch of black and brown people. And then when after World War II, when Roosevelt came into office and black and brown people went over to World War II, and when they came back, it became harder for those blacks to really, because they saw things that was happening in Europe that America wasn't doing, and yet they went over in Europe to fight for everybody else's right. And a lot of brothers, either they stayed in Europe, or when they came back, you couldn't do them the same way. And then somewhere, I think the next, Truman, and then you had Eisenhower, and then in
1960. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Everybody against Kennedy.
When Kennedy came on board, that was a big switch, because Brown versus the Board of Education back in 54, a whole lot of things started to shift. And when Kennedy became president, more black people crossed over and voted for Kennedy than they had done before. And now think about that. Now that's in 1960.
Right.
And then the Voters' Right Bill was signed in 1965 by Johnson. So
right, because Martin Luther King wanted him to sign it. Yeah, that was the deal that Martin Luther King made with Johnson.
Right. Well, because when Kennedy came in, the United States really weren't really, quote unquote, treating black folk as they should, especially in the South. And when Kennedy became president,
we ain't getting treated right now.
Oh no, definitely not.
We ain't never got treated right.
So but when Kennedy became president, and some would say, because a lot of black and brown people, they got a picture of Jesus, Kennedy, and Martin Luther King in their living room, especially in the South. But we really believe that Kennedy was acting in our favor. But one of the reasons that Kennedy had to do what he did was the pressure that they were getting from Russia during that time period. Now,
and
we got to throw this out.
And now,
even now,
Russia's still here. It ain't going nowhere. Russia's still here.
Oh, still here. But, during this time period, when we think about the original intent from Carter G. Woodson back in 1926, which was not to allow people to ignore contributions of black and brown people. When
Thank
you
God
look
for
at,
him. Thank God for
oh
him.
yes, yes, and then
But we must continue. We must
oh,
continue to struggle today. That's
we
what's
must,
important.
yeah,
What
we
you
have
do,
to.
we can only control the present. Ain't a damn thing you could do about history. But remember it. You can only control the present. And what you do today will affect our future. You feel
And
me?
that's true.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we got to make sure that our presence don't revert to what happened to it in our past, because they
True.
working on that real hard. You know, so we have to stand strong with the presence and look forward to the future and doing better things and being stronger and keeping our eyes open, you know, to what's going on. And don't wait till it happens and complain about it. We got to start working on and stop them from doing some of the bad things they're doing, like redistricting, redrawing the lines and stuff like that. That's wrong.
Yeah,
That's wrong.
gerrymandering.
And
They call
taking,
it gerrymandering.
yeah,
Right.
the
Yeah, they
gerrymandering. We
doing
got to
that in your
stop it.
state.
Yep,
They
big
doing that in
time.
your state, Georgia. And they
Oh yeah.
trying to do it
Yeah.
down here in Florida, but I ain't gonna let them.
Well, you stay hard on that fight, big brother.
I am definitely gonna stay hard on it. They know it too.
Yeah.
I tell them all
Hey,
the time.
in the words of Hosea
Oh, yeah.
Williams.
I'm on the Democratic Leadership Council down here.
Oh, okay.
I'm in charge.
Okay.
What what's
So,
one of the when you look at what's one of your biggest obstacles down there other than racism?
The coronavirus, getting the word out that we need to go ahead and get vaccinated. There are a lot of blacks down here that are still not vaccinated. They're afraid to get vaccinated. They think this is a way of white people wiping us out, and it's not true. We're
Okay.
wiping ourselves out. Another thing that black people do, most of them are going back to what Sylvia is talking about. They're overweight. They're drastically overweight. They're obese. They're ridiculous. Some of them weigh as much as 500 pounds. It's ridiculous. You know, when you get to 500 pounds, you weigh damn too much. You got to do something about it.
So our
yeah.
health, race, what else is so you guys are what kind of initiatives are you putting in place down there?
Well, I have a program in place. I'm in Melaleuca. I've been in Melaleuca for 27 years.
Quite familiar.
Melaleuca has a program so you can help lose the weight, get healthy. I've been talking with Raymond Francis for the last 8 years.
Who is
He
that?
wrote a book. He's a medical scientist. He wrote a book. Never be sick again. Health is a choice. Choose it instead of saying I want to be sick.
Yeah, but you
Okay.
know what? A lot of people don't want to choose healthy. I mean, they
I
say they
know.
want to be healthy, but they don't want to give up all those bad foods to be healthy.
I know.
You know,
I know that. Believe me,
they don't
sister, I
want
know what you're talking about.
Well, when we know better, hopefully
You
we'll
do
do
better.
better.
When you know better, you do better.
Yeah. But you know,
That's why you got to
what
read the Bible every day so you can make better choices.
to. Mm-hmm.
You got to be
And
in the
you know,
Word. You got to be part of the Word. You got to understand that the Bible is written not for God, but for us. It's for our
yeah,
benefit.
well now that puts us into a divide because a lot of black and brown people feel that because this country is supposed to be a country that says in God we trust, and they use that book so often, but yet I think they used that book when they was hanging black folk.
Oh yeah,
mm-hmm.
that's what I'm saying. That's the racism.
Yeah. And
That's
then I
racism.
discovered, you know, they didn't want some of the black people to read the Bible because it tells everything is not in there that's supposed to be in there. Well, let me put it like this. Okay, they don't want them to read the Bible because they'll know the truth. Let's put it like
The
that. Even
truth.
though there are some spots in there that say that, you know, obey your master and all of that kind of stuff. And so that's the part that they would use to control the black people. because the Bible said that God wants you to be our slave, wants you to be subservient to us, and all of that kind of stuff. And that's not good, you know. But then you find out there's other stuff in there in the Bible that will free you from all of this, and they don't want that
Exactly.
either.
Right. Well, one of the things when you think about it, and I think we have to share this with the audience, it's critical that you keep yourself spiritually, mentally, physically prepared, because when it comes down to politics, when it comes down to anything, one of the reasons that a lot of our people don't feel energized enough, either they on medication or they self-medicated. Okay, you look at our older population, as they tend to die out, some of our stronger warriors are dying out, high blood pressure, diabetes. And then our younger population, a lot of them are being so self-medicated that they don't even think about what's going on around them. Not everybody, but it's important that you get involved in some type of organization, some type of local involvement within your school. Even if you don't have kids, you need to know something about your school district, because if you don't have a school in your neighborhood, you can rest assured that neighborhood is going to hit rock bottom. Okay? If you don't have a school, a new school in your neighborhood, you can put a check mark by that. You're going to have liquor stores, anything that deals with bringing down the community. So our communities have to be more aware. And I wanted to throw this out there real quick, because you said something, Miss Sylvia, and every year on Black History Month, I make it a habit to see one movie. And that movie is called Cosmic Slop. Okay?
What's the name of the movie?
Cosmic Slop.
Cosmic Slop.
Slop. From George Clinton. Cosmic, C-O-S-M-I-C, Slop, S-L-O-P. This movie is a short movie that was done back in the late 80s, but the Hudlin brothers brought it back out. But it's about some aliens coming from another planet. They want all the black people.
Interesting.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, it's a very interesting movie. Once you see that movie, you'll always think about some things. But I am not going to tell, but everybody needs to see that movie. My whole family, for the last 20 years, we've been holding school called Watching Cosmic Slop, the movie.
Why do they want the black people?
Well, it was an alien race of people that came. They wanted any melanated people. And you'd be surprised what black folk were doing, because they didn't know what they wanted them for. Well, let me just put this out. What they told the world, America, they said, you know what? At first they was like, we want all your black folk. And then the people were like, man, what are we going to do about our athletes? What are we going to do about this? Then they said, you know what? We're going to clean up your air. We're going to clean up all your rivers. And we're going to turn all your mountains, Stone Mountain, Rock, what's that, Mount Rushmore, we're going to turn them all to gold. After they did that, they had a referendum, and America voted. And guess what they did? Take them.
Take the black folks?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you need to see, it's about 20 minutes. You'll love it.
I'm going to watch that.
Yeah.
I'm making a point to watch it.
Oh, you need to see that tonight. It's on YouTube.
I'm going to check it out. Almost everything's on YouTube.
You got to
learn
see
about
that.
tendonitis on YouTube.
Oh, yes. And the cure
you
for
learn
it, too.
about my company, Melaleuca, on YouTube.
Yes. But we have to look at ways to continue to keep it on our conscious mind, to think about where we are. And even when we gone, because 100 years from now, everything that we're doing today, if you don't put something in place, guess what? It can be wiped away.
Yes.
Be just like Reconstruction. People like, if you ask, and it's a shame, but if you ask 50 of your friends about Reconstruction, you'd be sad to know the numbers that don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They don't
understand
have a
what you're talking
clue.
about. It's important to remember history, otherwise we will repeat it.
No
And
doubt.
we don't need to repeat it.
Yes. And then
That's
you
why you
keep
gotta
going
know
around
the
the
history.
same, every 100 years, you find yourself going back, trying to get the same things that you got before. They just took them, or hid them
It was
from.
about 100 years ago we had a pandemic.
Yeah.
It was 100
Spanish
years ago
flu.
we had the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all good knowing you, Sylvia. I've been knowing you for a while. This brother here, I'm gonna check out Cosmic Slot.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna look at that. I'm glad to meet you.
The same here,
Glad
brother.
to got to talk to you. Actually, got this. Yeah. And I will
take
keep
my
in
number
touch.
down, because you can call, and we need to have you on the Black Trivia that we're gonna be doing at the end of the month.
On the 26th.
Oh, you gonna get him on your team, Reggie?
Oh, he on your team. Okay. All right.
No,
Okay.
I didn't say he was on my team. I was just asking.
All
I
right.
was just
Okay.
asking.
Okay.
I didn't
All
say
right.
he was on
That's
my
how you gonna do. All right. I got a team. I ain't work.
Okay.
I got a team.
So, and you guys are trying to figure out what we're talking about. We're doing a trivia, what you gonna call it? A contest at the end of the month, the last Saturday of this month. Reggie has a team, and I have a team, and we're gonna be doing Black History. We're gonna see who knows the most Black history. Huh?
At what time? Because that is also a very busy day for me on that day. That's our Black History Day that we're going to celebrate here in Lehigh. All the Black people in Lehigh, which is about, you won't believe this, but it's close to 55,000 Blacks here in Lehigh.
Okay.
Mm.
And we're going to all be in one place. It'll be a good time for white people to wipe us all out. But I hope that doesn't happen.
Hopefully it doesn't, brother.
Yeah.
Don't give them no ideas. Hey, trust me. Hey, how you spell that town? L-E what?
L-E-H-I-G-H. Lehigh.
Oh, okay.
A-C-R-E-S. Lehigh Acres.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're all going to be at the hotel.
Okay.
And that's on the 26th. And I have the tickets. Yeah, I got the tickets right. Yeah, so I can check what time that event is.
Okay. That sounds pretty interesting, man. Y'all gonna have it well,
yeah, this is the actual ticket.
Okay. Right. It's good to see some brothers out doing some things.
Yeah.
All around.
Yeah, some powerful brothers down here.
Okay. Might have to step down there one day and see what's going on.
I will come on down now while it's still cold up there.
Yes, sir.
It's 75 degrees down here. It's 3 to 7.
Yeah, it's pretty warm here too. So let me ask you guys a question. How many presidents did you know that had some Black in them?
A bunch of them.
I know Abraham Lincoln was one. You know, you can look at him and tell he got Black in him.
Fillmore.
And I know there was who?
Fillmore, the 13th or 14th president. Fillmore.
Really?
Fillmore was Black also.
Oh yeah. And the what's that? The Teddy Roosevelt. Oh yeah.
He had some in him as well, huh?
Oh yeah. They said Woodrow Wilson. That's one reason he hated Black folk, because he had some in him. And Truman. Truman. Yeah.
Truman had Black in him as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we still got Black politicians.
So that's another thing.
And well, you know, believe it or not. Now, believe it or not, even though we gave him credit, Slick Willie Bill Clinton didn't have none in it.
Nope.
Look at that.
And
I guess
black.
because he had that rhythm
He
again.
seemed like he was a black man, boy, because he messed with women. And
Yeah.
could play the saxophone like a black man.
Yeah. Well, he had black attributes, but he didn't have a black bloodline.
Yeah, they used to call him the black president. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot of them.
Yeah.
But it is so important,
he really
though.
got Obama elected. He did, because he really campaigned heavy for him.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. Even though that man beat his wife, he campaigned heavy. He came out and campaigned for Barack Obama and got him elected and free.
2 times. So that's why we got to keep, because 100 years from now, you don't want it to be removed from the American history archives that the 44th president was a black man. They could take that out of there 100 years from now, act just like Reconstruction, act like it never existed.
Yeah, they probably will.
Because they try to erase so much of our history, and it is so important that
keep the pressure on. That's why we have to keep the pressure on.
Keep the foot on the gas.
Keep the pressure on. Yeah,
and you got to talk to your young people.
The only reason why Trump got elected is because he eat it. Him and Russia are like this.
Yeah.
The Russians want to eliminate us, and so does Trump. It's called divide and conquer.
Oh yeah. If you woke Ronald Reagan up,
we have
he wouldn't
to
even
wake up the
recognize
white people in this country.
Hey, if you woke up Ronald Reagan, if you're able to revive him, he wouldn't even recognize America. And I'm not talking about black America, white America. The Republican Party, he wouldn't even recognize it. It's been hijacked again.
Completely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it is important.
So it's nice talking to y'all. And
same here, brother.
On the 26th, what time is your event?
We're gonna let you know later on. We hadn't set a time.
That's Saturday.
Yeah. We will let you know. We haven't set a time yet for that event.
Well, I'll 3 to 7.
Yours 3 to 7?
Okay. All right. Cool.
Okay. So
yes, 3 to 7.
I'll keep you informed on when it's going to be. Definitely will keep you informed.
Okay then.
So
great.
All right. We're running out of time. Okay, so I just want to say it is important that we all stay involved in politics and don't just let things go by. When there's an election coming up, pay attention, go out and vote and register. If you haven't registered, encourage everybody to register, and don't wait till the last minute to call yourself gonna go vote. Make sure that you are on the polls, on the registers list, that you are registered and you haven't been eliminated, because they are doing a lot of that to eliminate people. And again, it is so important that we know our history, we study our history, because if we don't study our history and learn for ourselves, if we want to be gone, it's like we'll be eliminated. Because as you know, right now, a lot of people think, well, they act like our history started in slavery, but it did not. We had kings and queens in Africa. They even captured princes and stuff like that and brought them over here. So there was a life before the slavery stuff. Slavery was just a part of it. Of course, all the slaves are, as you know, built this country. We made this country what it is today, because I didn't realize it until just recently how much we have contributed. I knew that we did a whole lot of work and caused a lot of people to have income that they can pay generational wealth. I knew that the slaves made generational wealth for their oppressors, but I didn't realize how much we have contributed to everything that's going on in this country, to ice cream scoopers, making potato chips, all of that stuff. We invented potato chips, Black person invented potato chips. Black person invented the ice cream scooper, the pencil sharpener. You know, the goggles that the airline pilots wear, you know, to protect their eyes. It was a black person did that. Black person did the helicopter. It is so much that we have done, and we are all in the office, in the politics, and don't let them run you away. When they all the gerrymandering, stand up, speak your piece, don't let it happen. And if they call themselves doing it, and if it passed, just make sure you have the right, the votes, okay? Don't let them defeat you. It is so important that we learn our history because they don't want us to know our history. So we have to take it upon ourselves to know our history. It is so much out there. I am so proud of who I am, where I come from, my culture. I am so proud because I know that we have contributed a whole lot, a whole lot. This country, as I said, it wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for the black people. It wouldn't be. You'll be surprised. You will be surprised if you actually open your eyes. And then for them to say, we don't want you to know this, you know, they're taking black history out of the books and don't want you to learn it in school. They don't want you to know about yourself. They want you to learn that white history, only the good part of the white history. They don't want you to learn the bad parts because I don't want my daughter to be ashamed of being white. Oh, really? You know, that's what I heard. I don't want my daughter to be ashamed of being white. Well, this is what someone said. It didn't happen to you, so why are you talking about it? You know, that's what somebody said to a black person. It didn't happen to you. You know, that was in the past. So my thing is, why would your daughter be ashamed? It didn't happen to you. I mean, the same thing go around. But learn your history, okay? Learn your history because there's a lot out there. And until then, I'm going to say, we're going to see you next week. Next week, we're going to have Black history makers. That's who we're going to have because there are history makers right now in this country. And we're going to have a couple of them on the show next week. So until then, we're going to sign off. This is Sylvia Hayes and my co-host, Reginal. And you are watching Good News at Primetime. And we're going to see you next week. Have a good one.